It's Wednesday, August 11th, and this is now on HNN.
He didn't put his weapon down.
An investigation is underway into an officer-involved shooting in Kalihi that left the suspect dead.
In an effort to combat the COVID surge in Hawaii, Governor Ige reinstates restrictions on gatherings.
The vaccinated people are being penalized when we have been operating as a 100% vaccinated venue.
The price of eggs is up nearly 6% in the past year. I'm Alice Gaynor with a new government report showing prices on thousands of consumer goods on the rise.
These stories, plus from doctor to Barbie. This Hawaii-born physician has her very own doll and will explain how it happened, coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now on this Wednesday. We've got a lot of news to get to. Let's start with those latest coronavirus numbers.
The State Department of Health is reporting 472 new COVID infections today and 2 more deaths. The breakdown by island shows the Big Island with 79 cases, Maui has 61, Molokai with 5, 17 on Kauai, 298 on Oahu, and 12 people diagnosed out of state. 263 people are hospitalized with COVID, and Lieutenant Governor Josh Green says of those patients, about 9% or 23 people are vaccinated. We'll have more coronavirus coverage in just a moment, but first, an investigation is underway after witnesses say a man with a machete was shot and killed by Honolulu police. It happened at around 2:45 this morning near the intersection of Houghtailing and School Streets in Kalihi. And new at noon, we have these pictures of a bullet hole on a car that was parked near the scene. Our Allison Blair is live at HPD headquarters with the latest on the investigation. Allie.
Thank you, Ashley. Acting Police Chief Roddy Vanek is expected to address the media here at HPD headquarters in about an hour. Until then, here's what we know so far. This all started this morning about 2:30. That's when officers and EMS responded to a 911 call at Kapalama Garden condo to treat a man in his 30s who had his finger cut off by another man with a machete. The victim's girlfriend saw the suspect and pointed him out to police. Police sources say officers approached the suspect as he walked to his car. That's when witnesses say the 41-year-old allegedly charged at police. 2 officers reportedly told the man to repeatedly drop his weapon before they opened fire.
And then we saw the guy come up from the dumpster area, and we pointed to him, the guy, and the cops tried to go and get him and tell him to put his weapon down. He didn't put his weapon down. And so they took control of that situation.
The suspect was taken to the hospital where he died. We're told we are still waiting for police to confirm the identity of that 41-year-old man. We'll have much more on this story coming up tonight at 4. Until then, we're live at Honolulu Police Headquarters. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
So in an effort to combat the surge of COVID cases the state is seeing and to curb the spread of that highly contagious Delta variant, Governor Ige reinstated some restrictions on gatherings. I want to play out some of what he said during the press conference.
In the month of July, we have seen the case counts double about every 7 to 10 days. We are seeing transmission and clusters from people going to work, attending social gatherings, going to restaurants when they are sick. We need to take action, and we need to take action now. We need to minimize person-to-person contact in order to reduce transmission. We do know that vaccines work and wearing masks work, but we all need to be committed to do our part to reduce the spread of COVID-19.
So with the governor's new executive order, the following restrictions are already in effect. Social gatherings are now capped at 10 people indoors and 25 outdoors. For high-risk activities including bars, restaurants, gyms, and social establishments, indoor capacity is set at 50%. Patrons must remain seated in parties with at least 6 feet of social distancing between groups. Mingling will not be allowed, and masks must be worn at all times except when eating and drinking. Professional events must comply with state and county orders now. Those with more than 50 people will need to notify and consult county officials.
What we do know and what the state public health officials have worked into the guidance is we do know that there are certain behaviors that are higher risk of spreading the virus. Clearly, indoor activities where participants are unable to maintain physical distance, activities where they don't wear masks, removing the mask indoors increases risk. So the executive order is focused on those higher risk activities. So the limitation on the capacity is trying to reduce the size of crowds. We are focused on indoor activities, requiring people to continue to wear their masks.
Some say the new rules aren't tough enough. Others just say they're unfair. Our Jolani Martinez has reaction from local business owners.
Some businesses find relief in the new rules, while others feel they're being punished.
We can't really operate as a restaurant with we don't have tables.
Less than 2 months after reopening, the owner of Scarlet Honolulu says the new restrictions will force him to close again. He was hoping to be exempt from the new executive order because the nightclub asks all guests for proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test.
What we're really taken aback by is that they're not making any exceptions for vaccinated venues. And we'd worked so hard with the mayor to get open and be 100% vaccinated venue. And this just feels like we've been run over.
But at Buzz's Steakhouse in Kailua, not much is changing.
Because of the 100% capacity, but you have to still socially distance.
Restaurants and bars must now go back to 50% capacity. But after the recent COVID spike, Buzz's had already removed all chairs from its bar and brought back temperature checks.
That's why we're really trying to do everything that they say we need to do, because we don't want to close. We don't want everybody to have to go on unemployment again.
We don't feel like we can operate with this current set of restrictions. And we feel like we were operating safely with our being 100% vaccinated without any issues. And this is just a huge rollback, punishing vaccinated people.
Now pronounced husband and wife.
The Oahu Wedding Association is also fine with the new order, since it requires professional events with more than 50 people to consult with county officials, giving them a chance to work out compromises.
This isn't a big hoop for us to jump through, but it is one more layer that we have to figure out.
The rest of the order aims to shrink social gatherings and church crowds, but there's no change to the Safe Travels program.
I do feel like there should be some kind of limitations of how much tourists we can have, at least some compromise to our rising cases.
I don't think it's necessarily productive to be pointing fingers and blaming anyone. The only way to really get over this is if we have a team effort.
The CDC says pregnant women should get the COVID vaccine. The firm recommendation is based on new data about the safety of the vaccines and safety concerns for expectant women who do not get immunized. The agency says pregnant women run a higher risk of severe illness and pregnancy complications from COVID, such as preterm birth. The CDC also shot down the myth that vaccines can cause fertility issues, saying that there is no data to support that assertion. And the CDC is also predicting that new COVID deaths and hospitalizations will go up over the next 4 weeks. Around 98% of U.S. residents now live in areas with a high or substantial risk of community transmission. A month ago, that number was just 19%. According to Johns Hopkins University, there have been more than 618,000 COVID deaths so far in the U.S. The CDC predicts the total will have reached between 630,000 and 662,000 by September 4th. The Delta variant has taken hold as millions of children are heading back to class. And this has reignited political debates about vaccines and mask mandates. Skylar Henry has more from Washington, D.C.
Protesters demonstrated outside
I'll get my kids hurt when I get the mask on.
as the Broward County, Florida School Board voted to institute a mask mandate in schools.
My children have displayed more maturity and compassion, as well as a better understanding of our immune system than our governor.
The move was in spite of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' order barring mask mandates, and he's threatened to withhold the pay of school administrators violating the order.
Ultimately, my view is it's a parent's decision.
But now the White House says it may be able to financially support anyone who loses their pay as a result of mask mandates.
We're looking at a range of options to support the public health officials, the teachers, and officials who are trying to protect students and their communities.
President Biden held a closed-door meeting with business, university, and healthcare officials who have required their employees and students be fully vaccinated.
To the American people who haven't taken the vaccine, that it's in your interest, can save your life, and can fundamentally impact on the lives of your children or people you love.
But vaccine mandates remain a polarizing topic. A new Morning Consult political poll shows 56% of Americans strongly or somewhat support vaccination mandates for everyone, except those with medical conditions. And the divide is largely political, with Democrats far more likely to support vaccine mandates than Republicans. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Back here at home, the governor said he's reassessing whether that 70% vaccination goal is the right benchmark to drop COVID rules. He did not mention a new goal, but the lieutenant governor laid out his prediction for reaching 80%.
I hope that we don't have to change that 70%. That was a number that we were hopeful, the governor was hopeful would be enough. I can tell you a little bit about where we are right now, and this will give you hope. We already are about 67.8% of all of our state at least starting the vaccination, which means in 2 to 3 weeks they will finish it off. That'll be 67% are vaccinated of the whole state. Soon, when the FDA approves it, another 100,000 plus people will come off the fence and get vaccinated. That's another 7%. That's going to surge us to about 75%. And then when kids can get vaccinated, that's your last 5%. That will get you to 80%, which is extraordinary for any state. We are 5th best in the whole country. I don't want people to lose hope.
We've learned more facilities are setting up triage tents to handle any overflow. FEMA is also sending in 50 mainland nurses. They'll be deployed to the Big Island. As many as 500 more mainland nurses have been requested to relieve exhausted frontline workers across the state. Queens tell us it's cutting back on elective procedures to handle the surge in COVID patients. Here's Jason Chang, the president of Queens Medical Center.
Getting near the peak where we thought we were a year ago. And it's scary because our projections show that it's going to be much more, much higher, because we never lived through a day where we had 600 additional new cases, followed up by 3 additional days that had 600 new cases. So we're preparing for the worst. We've asked for some relief from FEMA, additional staff to come in and relieve the nurses that are already tired. But our concern is that if this goes into September and October, that the organization will be extremely stressed, and the most outstanding patient care is what we have at heart, taking care of every individual that comes to our doors and making sure that their outcomes are outstanding.
And we have an update we want to pass along to you. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the State Health Department is reporting 472 COVID cases today and 2 more deaths. But it is a partial count today. That's because there was another interruption with the electronic lab reporting system on Monday and Tuesday. So officials say the delayed results will be included in the Thursday and Friday counts. Again, a partial count today, 472 new COVID cases, along with 2 more fatalities.
Now let's get a check of your weather. Here's Guy Hoggy.
Even though we have a trade wind breeze today, they'll be light enough that humidity levels will climb, and we'll also likely to get some spotty afternoon showers for a handful of interior and leeward spots, but nothing widespread in terms of rainfall. We will get a lot of sunshine for leeward sides, and that's going to lead to temperatures to near 90, but because of the light winds, it's going to feel even stickier and hotter than that. Surf still firing in town and to some extent down on the west side, and there are reinforcing swells coming into town and country shores over the next several days. So the surf is looking good for the next several days. And the weather not too shabby. Again, it's going to be hot and humid today with spotty afternoon showers. Fair bit of rain for the east side of the Big Island. Drier conditions by tomorrow with stronger trade winds that will last into Saturday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
Southwest Airlines says the Delta variant is hurting its bottom line. The company says passengers are now booking fewer flights and canceling existing reservations as the variant continues to spread across the country. The airline is predicting it will not turn a profit during the third quarter, which is a change from its previous forecast a few weeks ago. But airline officials say it appears demand for leisure travel for the Labor Day holiday is remaining strong. Prices are still on the rise, with people paying more at restaurants, grocery stores, and at the pump. Alice Gaynor explains why this is happening.
Filling up at the pump remains pricey, especially for drivers with long commutes.
If I'm having to put, $30 or $40 in my tank every other day, that's a lot.
A new government report says gas is up 41% compared to last year, fueling a rise in overall prices, including food. The cost of eating out in July saw its biggest one-month surge in 40 years. And shoppers are spending more at the grocery store. Beef and veal jumped 6.5% in the past year. Pork products increased nearly 8%, and whole milk rose 8%.
A lot of these prices have definitely gone up.
And that has Catherine Carcamo changing her shopping habits.
Maybe like a brand that you usually don't buy, or maybe like smaller.
There is a little bit of good news. Even though prices are going up, they're not rising as fast as previous months. Used car prices slowed last month after soaring for most of the year. Airline tickets declined a little from the previous month, but are still up 19% over last year.
Those increases that we've seen continue to put a squeeze on the household budget.
Bank rates, Greg McBride says it's not clear how long the current increases will continue.
We won't know until probably early part of 2022 with any clarity whether or not inflation was just passing through town or whether those higher numbers are here to stay for a while.
Pandemic-related supply chain issues are one factor influencing costs. Once those stabilize, economists believe prices could too. Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
A Hawaii-born doctor is the face of a new Barbie doll. Mattel modeled one of its latest dolls after Audrey Sue Cruz. The toy maker saw an Instagram video Cruz and other Asian American healthcare workers did denouncing hate and racism. It selected her and 5 other frontline workers to be models for its Thank You for Our Heroes program. As a physician in Las Vegas, Cruz worked on the front lines of the pandemic. Jim Mendoza spoke with her.
I was born in Honolulu at Kapiolani Medical Center. My dad was actually stationed, he's in the Air Force. He was stationed at Hickam Air Force Base when I was born. He went to college there. My mom got her nursing degree there at Kapiolani as well. So I actually lived in Hawaii till I was 5 years old, until my dad got stationed in Las Vegas. But I have lots of ties to Hawaii.
Like what happened to get it all going? If you can just boil it all down for me.
Absolutely.
From beginning to end.
Beginning to end, yes. So kind of some background information is, so during the pandemic, actually, I was a healthcare hospitalist, basically. I worked actually in Southern California at the time. That's where I was working. And I also did primary care, telemedicine. I was teaching at the time as well. During the time, during the beginning of the pandemic, there was a lot of Asian American hate and bias and stereotyping going on. And so I actually joined forces with several other Asian American physicians, and we made a video basically denouncing all of the hate and the racism that was going on. And we wanted to just make a fundamental change in the society, and we wanted to make people aware of what's going on and tell them that it's a virus and we're all trying to fight the same pandemic. And so we made this video, we released it on social media, and it actually went viral. We had a lot of media attention for it, and really our goal was just to get the message out there, was that we want to fight racism and we want to fight all the hate that's going on. And so there were articles written about that video that we made. And so Barbie actually reached out to me several months ago, about April, and they were mentioning how they saw the article and they were touched by it and they wanted to create a Barbie doll in my likeness to honor me for it. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, are you sure? Like, I was floored. I just could not believe that they had wanted to honor me. It was just so humbling at the time, and still now. And the process was basically they had me work with the designers of Barbie and Mattel. I sent them pictures of myself in my work outfit, and they basically sent over multiple different edits of how the Barbie looked like and how they designed it. And I actually have it with me right here. And so, I was a huge part of the process, but they got all the amazing details right. I mean, from the white coat to the little mask and the hair, I mean, everything was just so impressive.
We were talking about that story a few weeks ago in our From the Feed segment, and I had no clue of the local connection.
Yeah,
Very
after we
cool.
talked about it, someone on Instagram messaged me about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're the connection. You're the one that...
No, I'm not, but the next day at work, we already knew that, so...
Very cool, and it was pretty good likeliness and very adorable story there. You can watch the whole thing on Tell Me a Story on our H&N digital platforms. All right, let's take you to some other stories now. Let's talk about Dolly Parton is already a singer, songwriter, and actress. Now Dolly is writing her own novel. The book, Run, Rose, Run, tells the story of a young woman who moves to Nashville to pursue her dreams of being a musician. In the past... So this is what Parton is teaming up with author James Patterson to write the novel. The country music star will create an album that accompanies it. It's about 448 pages long, that novel. Pretty long novel. Yeah. And I'm told it will be released next March.
Your girl does it all, John.
I know. It got me a little tongue-tied there. I'm very excited.
And speaking of albums and amazing women, Beyonce is promising fans new music is coming. Now, the award-winning singer revealed to Harper's Bazaar that she has been hard at work in the studio for over a year, but she did not give an exact release date or any more details. Beyonce has released 6 studio albums so far and has won 28 Grammys, making her the show's most decorated female artist of all time.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, and Jeopardy has announced not 1, but 2 new hosts to take over for the late Alex Trebek. Now, Mike Richards, the game show's executive producer, will be the official host when the new season premieres on September 13th. Sony says despite internet chatter, Richards did not pick himself for the job. And actress and neuroscientist Mayim Bialik will host occasional primetime episodes and a spin-off series. Bialik is known for her role on The Big Bang Theory, and she is leading the new Jeopardy! National College Championship, which is set to air on ABC next year.
I mean, big shoes to fill, but I think she's a great choice.
Yeah.
And that competition, that college championship, is always so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I know
I can play along with that one.
Yeah, definitely. Most of the time. I don't even know if I can do that, really. All right, guys, one more story we want to get to, and this is very interesting from the world of tech. Samsung is betting that the future of phones are once again foldable. The tech company showcased 2 new smartphones today, the Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G and the Galaxy Z Flip 3 5G. What is up with these names? The first phone opens like a book, format like a tablet to form like a tablet. The second is clamshell, much like the Razor we used to have back in the day. I'm waiting for that. There we go. I would actually use one of these. I think it looks cool, and I like the idea of something a little bit smaller, like than the iPhone size. I like the foldability. They say it's thinner, lighter, durable than the previous foldable models, but they're not cheap. This will cost around $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's for the first version. The second version is $1,800.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes.
They better be durable.
Phones are so expensive, right?
Yeah.
You guys, just a reminder, coming up in just a short while, we have a press conference regarding that deadly officer-involved shooting that's coming up from HPD headquarters. We are going to carry that for you on all your H&N digital platforms. Get updates on it throughout the day on those platforms as well.